everyone. I call this meeting to order at 6 o'clock. Roll call.
Oscar Salinas here.
Mary Hernandez present.
SB Ochoa present.
Alex Cantu present.
Alda Benavides present. Dr. Sainz, we have a quorum. You may proceed.
Thank you, Dr. Benavides. May we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Public comments. We have.
Yes, we have a public comment from Brenda Salinas.
Welcome, Ms. Salinas. You know the rules. 3 minutes. The attorney will keep track of your time.
Madam President, I might need 4 minutes. Is that okay?
That's okay.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam President, school board trustees, Dr. Sainz, district administrators, and members of the community. Unfortunately, COVID-19 is a new normal and is here to stay. To overcome the new norm and bring back some normalcy, the La Jolla ISD School Board and administration must start involving our stakeholders, teachers, and community members in the process. Decisions are made by the Crisis Committee and district administrators. These decisions have no appropriate check and balances to confirm credibility and safety and health issues occurring throughout our district. Why? Well, when there is no consistency in the decision-making process by the district leaders, misinterpretation, trustworthiness, and panic causes a need to raise major questions and concerns regarding school funds and credibility. La Jolla FT will hold all decision makers accountable for not using school funds more efficiently and effectively. Emotional, mental, and physical burned out are factors that should not be overlooked when our district employees are struggling and drowning, especially the staff that work with students. We ask for our board members to stand by all school employees. Our district employees do not need to be reminded they are blessed to have a job. They do not need to be subjected to belittling from worksite administrators. They need to see the trust of our district leaders. They need to hear that our district leaders care about their health and safety. COVID-19 is evolving because of random mutations. The district needs to be prepared for the unforeseen and unpredictable pandemic. Our members, teachers, and school employees in La Jolla ISD families should not live in fear and question our leaders' credibility for lack of PPE, COVID testing, air purifiers, disinfecting cleaning supplies, and returning students back to the classroom when they feel sick. Poor renovation of school buildings, classrooms packed due to large class sizes, and the list goes on and on and on. To the DIC members, thank you for taking a stand and making your voice and vote count on the COVID leave days. And to the school board, make it be known when voting for agenda item 8.5 under contracts if the 5 COVID sick days will be retroactive, since it doesn't state on the agenda and the agenda packet. Our members respect and thank district leaders that advocate for them, and you know who you are. Let's build trust among our district employees and district leaders and not disappointment towards our district. Let's tackle these trying times together and embrace the voices of all that love our district. We must remember we are all in this together. When we work together towards a common goal, trust and commitment follows. A healthy and a safe district equals happy teachers, students, school employees, and community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Salinas, and thank you, AFT members. Approval of minutes.
Also move on items 1, 2, and 3.
Second.
A motion has been made by Mr. Salinas, second by Ms. Ochoa. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion carries. Superintendent's report, Dr. Sainz.
Thank you, Dr. Benavides. The first item on the superintendent's report is the enrollment report dated January 11th, 2022. On this date, we had 10,976 elementary students, 13,599 secondary students,
for a total of 24,575 students, which is 2,087 students less than at this point at the year before. Are there any questions on the enrollment report? Thank you. The next item on the superintendent's report is recognition of La Jolla High School mariachi student Melanie Olivares. Mr. Ruben Adame, our fine arts administrator, will present this award. Thank you, Mr. Adame.
Good evening, Dr. Sines, President Benavides, members of the school board, and guests in attendance. Tonight, I stand before you to recognize one of our most talented vocalists from La Jolla High School, Melanie Olivares. Melanie, a senior and proud member of the La Jolla High School Mariachi Los Coyotes, is being recognized tonight for being named the 2021-2022 Mariachi Vargas National Grand Champion Vocalist. The Mariachi Vargas Extravaganza is an annual event that takes place in San Antonio at the Lila Cockrell Theater, celebrating the history and the cultural impact of mariachi music. The festival includes concerts by well-renowned musicians and competitions with participants from all across the United States. The Mariachi Vargas Extravaganza consists of two national competitions, the National Group Competition and the National Vocal Competition. These competitions feature hundreds of young mariachi musicians and vocalists in outstanding performances that inspire and impress audiences year after year. Melanie competed in the National Vocal Competition and being named a finalist after going through a rigorous audition process. Finalist participants for the National Vocal Competition compete in the following categories: elementary, middle school, high school, and college university. First, second, and third place winners are selected from each category, and one vocal competitor will be named the overall Grand Champion National Vocal Competition winner. First place winners of the National Mariachi Group Competition categories and the overall National Grand Champion vocalists are invited to perform in concert with Mariachi Vargas de Tecalitlan at the grand finale concert held at the Lila Cockrell Theater in San Antonio. These same first place winners also are provided with opportunities to represent the finest mariachi talent in the nation in presentations across different parts of the United States. After all vocal performances were completed, it was time to announce the vocalist winners in each category and reveal the National Grand Champion vocalist, meaning the overall outstanding vocalist of the entire vocal competition. Out of thousands of vocalists from around the nation and the numerous vocal finalists that competed in San Antonio, Melanie Olivares was named the 2021-2022 Mariachi Vargas National Grand Champion vocalist. Supporting and guiding Melanie in this unbelievable journey are Mariachi Los Coyotes directors, picture from left to right, Mrs. Karina Aldape, Mr. Martin Cantu, and Ms. Dominga Garza. Melanie's parents are Mireida and Mario Olivares. Principals at La Jolla High School is Mr. Antonio Cano, and principal at La Jolla Early College is Mr. Domingo Verrial. Melanie's support team would like to thank Dr. Gisela Sainz, Mr. Martin Munoz, Ms. Melinda Flores, Mr. Antonio Cano, Mr. Domingo Verrial, and members of the school board for their continued support of the fine arts programs and for approving the request to participate in this prestigious competition. Please know that your support plays a huge role in these types of success stories, and we appreciate you very much. Next is a short video that embraces Melanie's journey.
Hello, my name is Melanie Olivares, and I'm the 27th Annual Mariachi Vargas Extravaganza Best in the U.S. Grand Champion Vocalist. Well, what can I say more than I'm still in shock? Honestly, I can't believe it, but I'm really, really happy, and I'm honored that they chose me and that they liked my performance.
I am extremely proud that one of my students was able to get that recognition You know, it's not just anything, it's not something local, it's not something at the state level either. This is a national competition where hundreds of people submit to be selected. She was selected and then she became the grand champion across every middle school competitor, high school competitor, and college and university competitor. Vargas selected her as the best vocal singer for the 27th annual Mariachi Vargas Extravaganza.
¿Qué te puedo decir? Muy orgullosa del trabajo de mi hija, de su dedicación, de lo que sabemos, lo que le costó. Fue un sueño cumplido para ella, el verse parado enfrente, cantar enfrente de Mariachi Vargas. Eso para ella era primordial.
Primeramente es un orgullo porque a lo que sabemos es la primera de aquí del Distrito Escolar de La Joya que saca ese reconocimiento. Y pues más grande todavía que es Best in the US.
Una emoción grande porque la competencia estaba difícil. Había muchas muchachas, cantaban muy bonito, pero siento que mi hija tuvo algo muy especial. Brilló siendo su sencillez, siendo como era, demostrando lo que llevaba y pues su voz fue la que la llevó al éxito.
It was a very interesting experience when they started announcing the winners and they say Mariachi Vargas is on stage along with Lupita Infante, which is a granddaughter of Pedro Infante. And they're like, okay, muchachos, let's announce the grand champion, right? At this point, we're trying to figure out who it was because there was a lot. I mean, everybody that's singing there has become a finalist. They've already been selected to participate there. Okay, let's scream it together. And then, so the grand champion for the 27th annual Mariachi Vargas Extravaganza is Melanie Olivares, right? So I turned to Melanie and I started screaming.
I was like, oh my God, like, is it me? I was like, did they really call my name?
Yes, that's you, Melanie.
Oímos el nombre y nos quedamos viendo mi esposa y yo. Dijeron Melanie. Muy orgullosos ya cuando reaccionamos que sí dijeron el nombre de ella.
And I was just like super excited and I started crying and I saw my family that they were super happy, so that made me cry even more. And then when I saw Mariachi Vargas, I was like, oh my God, like I really can't believe that they liked my performance that much.
We were very excited for her and it was just such an incredible experience for her, for her family, and for all the members in the mariachi because it's like I told them, she's representing you guys. She wins, we win. The district wins.
Muy orgullosa de su trabajo, muy bendecida por tener una hija como la que tengo, pero súper contenta de ver que cumplió uno de sus sueños y más porque es su senior year. Lo disfrutó y se trajo el campeonato.
I think programs like mariachi are very important. I'm a product of the mariachi program here in the district, and that's why I came back, because I love what they have done with the program. They're not only competing, but they do shows for the community. Most of the times they get sold out. It's an opportunity for students to really showcase their background, their heritage, their pride, who they really are, and not forget where they come from, right?
La música para Melanie, desde chiquita, ella nada más oía música y es bailar, y es cantar. She's been in orchestra. I remember when she would mention to me, Mom, when I go to high school, I'm gonna sing in the mariachi. And I'm gonna sing in the mariachi, Mom. And I would tell her, go for it, mijita. You can do everything you want.
Pues para nosotros es algo que es natural. Entre las dos familias de nosotros hay como 35 personas que han salido del programa de mariachi, de folclórico, de lo que es band, de todo eso. Es una tradición para nosotros, para las dos familias. Es una tradición para nosotros estar en estos lugares. Mi hijo también salió de aquí del programa de Fine Arts en el conjunto. ¿Cómo cree que estamos nosotros? Muy orgullosos de los dos y más ahorita con lo de Melanie.
My inspiration for music was at a very young age. I've been surrounded by music my whole entire life. My family, they're all musicians. My tía was a former mariachi Los Coyotes. She was a violinist and she sang. Desde chiquita siempre escuchaba a mi tía cantar y me gustaba escuchar la música de mariachi también. Y siempre le decía a mi mamá que yo quería cantar y ser parte del mariachi. Es una tradición familiar ser parte de mariachi Los Coyotes.
I've known her since when I first saw her, when she was a freshman, and seeing her blossom into the performer that she is now. But when I heard her at the Three Schools One Voice, I was like, wow. What a voice, what a performer, and then the accomplishment that she just pulled off, it's incredible.
I think this comes to recognize the importance that La Joya gives our mariachi programs, and I think it's something extremely vital for our community, especially because we're majority Hispanics, and I feel like a lot of the students identify with that. And I think if we continue to push this, we're going to continue getting these grand champions into our district and continue giving them these opportunities that not a lot of kids have across the nation.
The district has been very supportive in the fine arts program. One, in my opinion, probably one of the districts that supports fine arts very, very strongly. It's allowed our programs to flourish and do well. It's certainly appreciated that our district sees the value in fine arts. We're very excited in the direction we're going. Who would have ever thought that the pandemic would shut us down for a year and a half, and then we come back and our programs are still doing well. So it's very exciting to what the future holds for our programs and our kids here at La Jolla ISD.
I just wish her the best. She's a wonderful daughter. She loves what she does. She enjoys what she does, and she always gives her 100%. All of that could not be done without the education that she has behind her, all her teachers, all the support. I think that's what's given her the title that she has now, the best in the U.S.
I feel very honored and blessed to be the first Best in the U.S. Grand Champion vocalist here at La Jolla ISD and for Mariachi Los Coyotes. I just want to give thanks to my parents, my teachers, and anybody that has been through this journey with me. I just want to give a really, really big thanks.
Ladies and gentlemen, please, one more time, this is a huge honor for our district and for our mariachi program and for Melanie and her family. Please, let's congratulate our 21-22 Mariachi Vargas National Grand Champion vocalist from Mariachi Los Coyotes, Melanie Olivares. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Adamen. Congratulations to Melanie Olivares and her family. Dr. Benavides, that concludes the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Dr. Science. Next, we will have discussion items, discussion of the 2021-2022 district calendar. Adjustments.
Madam President, Dr. Benavides, Madam Superintendent, Dr. Science, ladies and gentlemen of the board and community members. Today we will be requesting that our board-approved calendar for the 2021-2022 school year be revised. The reason for this request is that in planning the 21-22 calendar, the calendar committee planned the spring bad weather date on February the 7th, the day after the Super Bowl. That day is historically a day in which we have high number of staff absences. So since the approval of that calendar, the Super Bowl was rescheduled to February the 13th. So on page 24 of your agenda packet, you can see our current calendar side by side with the proposed calendar. So in addition to that revision, moving the bad weather day, we're also recommending that the in-service day that was scheduled on February the 18th be moved to March the 4th, and that the teacher preparation day that was scheduled for February the 21st be moved to February the 25th. This revision has already been presented to our DEIC and to our calendar committee, and both were in agreement with the adjustment. Later on in the meeting, there will be a board item that would seek your approval. Any questions or recommendations?
No question, just a thank you, because I know we were getting calls to see if this was going to be done. So thank you for listening to the staff.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Munoz. Next item is a discussion of the results-driven accountability report.
Again, good evening. Today we'll be presenting our district's results-driven accountability report. This report reflects the instructional data from the 2020-2021 school year and the discipline data from the 2019-2020 school year. The RDA report, the results-driven report, provides data on 3 programs. bilingual education, English as a second language, and for English learners. That's one program. The second program is other special populations. That is the students that are in foster care, are homeless, or are in the military. And the third program is special ed. Each program is evaluated on varying indicators that are grouped into 3 domains. Domain 1 captures indicators of academic achievement. Domain 2 captures indicators on post-secondary readiness. And Domain 3 captures indicators on disproportionate analysis, whether our district is servicing one particular group over the other, if we're disciplining one particular group over another. That would be considered a disproportionate analysis. Depending on our district's performance on those 3 programs, districts are rated as either not assigned a determination level, which is the highest one, determination level 1, 2, 3, and 4. And on the slide 3 of the presentation, which you see on your screen, this details what would a district would need to do in response to those determination levels. A district that is rated as no designation would not elicit a response. If a district gets a determination level 1, we would be required to do a self-assessment on the program and create a strategic support plan. If we are determination level 2 district, we would have to do the self-assessment, the strategic support plan, and we would get targeted supports from TEA in that area. Determination level 3 and 4, again, require the same response, self-assessment, strategic support plan. We would get targeted supports from the TEA. But in addition to that, we do need to submit, we have to go through a targeted desk review in which TEA requests from the district documents that would describe how our district is responding and supporting those 3 different groups. And we would also get an on-site review, which is a visit from TEA to audit our district. So moving on to bilingual education. So on slides 4 through 7, you will find how our district performed in the areas of bilingual instruction, right, and those 11 indicators that were rated. And on slide 8, you see our determination level for bilingual, for that program. So in the area of bilingual, overall, our district received a determination level 2, right? So which means that our district is required to complete a self-assessment and formulate a strategic support plan. And the TEA is going to provide us with targeted supports to make sure that we are in compliance and we're meeting those 11 indicators that for bilingual education. In the area of other special populations, again, these are the students that are either in foster care, are homeless, or in the military. We do get rated on 6 indicators. So on slides 9 through 14, you will see how our district performed on those 6 indicators. And on slide 15, which is what you would see on the screen, we see that in this area, our district received a determination level 3, which means our district will be required to complete a self-assessment, formulate a strategic support plan, and we will go through that targeted desk review by TEA, in which they will review our district policies and also individual student records to make sure that we are addressing and meeting the needs of our OSP students.
What is that called from TEA?
A strategic support plan.
Okay.
That's our action plan. And then we get a desk review in which they ask for student records, our policies and procedures that we have as a district to address this special population. And we will get that on-site review where they will visit us, visit classrooms, visit campuses, look at the student records, meet with district administration just again to make sure that we are on a path to meet the needs of that specific program. Moving on to special education, on slide 16 to 23, you will find a district's performance on those 18 special education indicators. And on slide 24, you will see that in this area, our district received a determination level 4, which means that just like in the OSP program, our district is required to complete a self-assessment and formulate a strategic support plan. And TA will conduct that targeted desk review in which they will review district policies and individual student records. And they will also conduct an on-site visit. This year, I believe they are giving districts the option of either doing it in person or virtually. But they will be in our district looking at student records, reviewing our policies and procedures. Now, in our analysis of the RDA report and in preparation for our district strategic support plan, in our instructional indicator, RDA, the root cause analysis that we identified for our district falling into those determination levels. We identified that it was due to the loss of direct instruction caused by COVID-19, that students experience significant learning loss in those content areas. So amongst the recovery strategies that you see on page 26 that are planned to address that learning loss are accelerated instruction, high dosage tutoring, just-in-time interventions, and scaffolding. In addition to, of course, monitoring, tracking the delivery of instruction and the performance of our students. And as we see areas of concern, making sure that we provide those just-in-time interventions and supports to our students. Specific to the area of special ed, you will see there on slide 27, the specific strategies that our special ed department has put into place to address the needs of our special ed students. Some of them are that the special ed director and the special ed administrative staff have reviewed the RDA report. They conducted a department needs assessment. They reviewed stakeholder input to identify observable behaviors that special ed department staff will then monitor and, if needed, provide support. Special ed director and the supervisors have already conducted campus visits, and they provided feedback to campus administration on the indicators and have created a plan to assist those campuses that needed support. The observational focus will center around these best practices. They will be monitoring and supporting the implementation of co-teaching strategies, teacher implementation of student accommodations, teacher adherence to student schedule of services, monitoring inclusion logs, and student access to supplemental aids. Now, in addition to that, through ESSER 3, the following resources were provided to campuses to mitigate learning loss and to safely reopen our classrooms. Funds were provided to procure assistive technology. Funds were provided to hire tutors for after-school and Saturday tutorials. Funds were provided to purchase instructional resources. And through the Provider Relief Fund, teachers were provided air purifiers for all self-contained classrooms. When it comes to the behavior or discipline indicators, we identified that the majority of the referrals that our special ed students were receiving were due to insubordination, unruly behaviors, and skipping class due to the fact that students had a skills deficit in the area of reading that was negatively impacting their behavior and their discipline. So to address those issues, our strategic support plan is centered around PBIS, right? Those positive behavior intervention and support strategies. And also in monitoring and tracking our discipline referrals and the consequences because of that. So that is our presentation for the result-driven accountability report, our action plan. Any questions or recommendations? Any feedback that you would like to
Munoz,
provide?
I have a question. You mentioned that every teacher was supplied with an air purifier. Is that accurate with all the classrooms that we have right now? Every
That is
classroom
correct,
has one?
This is specific to the special ed self-contained classrooms.
Oh, just special ed?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
I know that we had specific conversations in the committee meeting last week, and so one of the things that I suggested to the administration was that, and they were telling me about their plan of action that they submitted, that it was general. But one of the things that I suggested in that, how were they differentiating your veteran diagnosticians versus your novice, and even with your teachers, so that when they submit to the state, it looks different than what is taking place right now. I know that you kind of went through it like an overview, and we had deeper conversations, but I'm not sure if my other colleagues would have more specific questions, but I know that we went into really thorough conversations because we know that this department is of great need, and as it is, you know, we have a learning gap because of the pandemic, and then on top of that we have struggling students, and so we really need to keep an eye on these individuals and most of all support our staff on top of all of that.
Thank you, Ms. Ayala. Excuse me. Thank you, Ms. Ochoa.
I would like a report on the tutors. How many tutors have been hired and how is the tutoring working? How many children are being tutored? Because I know we were having problems getting tutors, so it looks good here, but I want to know if the kids are receiving tutoring and how much, how much time are they receiving, and how many are attending the Saturday tutorials.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
maybe the special ed director could give us a report on item number 2 under the ESSER funds.
Yes, ma'am.
Other than that, I don't have any other questions. Anyone else have any comments or questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Munoz.
Thank you, Mr. Munoz.
We'll move to item number 3, discussion of the Texas Association of School Board Policy Update 118, legal policies and local policies.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Sines, and community. My name is Ivana Ayala, Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources, and this evening my colleagues and I are going to be sharing with you some of the significant changes that have come forth through the TASB Policy Update number 118. TASB, the Texas Association of School Board, issues updates to reflect changes in law, rules, and guidelines regarding school district governance and management. These changes come from these and other sources, such as the Texas Legislature, U.S. Congress, agencies such as the Texas Education Agency or the U.S. Department of Education, rulings from courts, Attorney General, and the commissioners. This presentation summarizes the most recent changes in state and federal law, court cases, and decisions by Attorney Generals and the Commissioner of Education, and includes recommended revisions to local policies when changes are warranted. Changes at Update 118 are based almost exclusively on legislature from the 87th regular legislature. A complete packet has been provided for your review. In the area of human resources, DEC Legal from Senate Bill 1359 states the use of paid mental health leave by officers who experienced a traumatic event. DEC Legal for House Bill 2073 states paid quarantine leave for district peace officers who are ordered to quarantine because of a known exposure to a communicable disease while on duty. And DECB Legal from House Bill 1589 states disaster leave is now available for employees in the military who are called to respond to a disaster. Next, I will have Mr. Martin Munoz, our Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction, that will share further updates.
In the area of curriculum instruction, we did have some several revisions to board policy. Board policy CQA and EHAA legal was revised. It now requires a board resolution convening the School Health Advisory Council, the SHAC, to review and recommend curriculum materials for instruction, and that meetings, minutes, and recordings are now posted on the school district website. EHAA also imposes new requirements for human sexuality curriculum materials. Board Policy DMA Legal stipulates requirements for districts to create a staff development policy by August the 1st of 2022 based on a TA-provided list clearinghouse of trainings. Once it is released to districts, we will then bring a resolution to the board to approve that clearinghouse list. Board Policy EEB now requires that pre-K have a class size requirement. It is stipulated at 22:1. Board Policy EHBC, founded on House Bill 4545, establishes accelerated learning committees and new at-risk criteria. This policy also revised the term limited English proficient to emergent bilingual students. Policy EIE requires or has that parents have the option to request that their children be retained, even if the student has met the promotion criteria. And Policy EMB provides guidance about the instruction of controversial issues. So those are the new adjustments to the curriculum instruction policies. Under Administration and Finance, we have the following adjustments. Board Policy CBA added the purpose of the Foundation School Program as set forth in Education Code Chapter 48. Policy CCG made a revision to the calculation and the adoption of tax rates in a disaster area. Policy CCH provided clarification that an employee of an appraisal district may not serve as a trustee in a school district that is as a participating entity in the appraisal district. Policy CDC comes from House Bill 1525, and it requires a district to accept donations from a parent-teacher organization or association to fund supplemental educational staff position and a donation for the designated purpose. Policy CH, updated definition of professional services to include forensic analysts and forensic experts. And Policy CHF imposes additional requirements on districts regarding disputed invoices with vendors. Now, to give us an update on the policy revisions for student services and facilities and operations, we welcome Dr. Magda Villarreal.
Thank you, Mr. Munoz. Hello, everyone. Under policy FFAC, it addresses immunity of certain medical professionals under a pandemic. Under policy FFEB, as required by Senate Bill 279, student identification cards must include contact information for the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline and the Crisis Text Line, and may include a local suicide prevention hotline. Under policy FFH, in accordance with Senate Bill 1267, dating violence training is only required at campuses that instruct students in grade 6 or higher. Under policy FM Legal, as provided by HB 547, homeschool students can represent schools in UIL activities if permitted by the district. Under policy FNG Legal, parents have a right to review teaching and instructional materials while their child is participating in virtual or remote learning and to observe virtual instruction. Under facilities and operation, we have CLA Legal, Senate Bill 1831, posting of warning signs of increased penalties for trafficking of persons at conspicuous places reasonably likely to be viewed. CLE Legal, Senate Bill 797, buildings must display our national motto with representation of the U.S. and state flags. CNA Legal, Senate Bill 204, permitting of inter-district student transportation. Also CNC Legal, Senate Bill 1267, school bus emergency evacuation training is no longer necessary. Under CO Legal, Senate Bill 1351, provisions permitting for campus to donate surplus foods. And also CVB Legal, House Bill 2581, competitive sealed proposal evaluations need to be made available for the public 7 business days of contract awarded. Any questions that you all might have?
The only thing that caught my attention back in CNI was the class size requirement for pre-K, 22 to 1. And we all know that smaller settings, but most of all, I think we just need to keep an eye. If we're going to continue to promote social distancing, then we need to keep an eye on our class sizes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ochoa.
Just a special thank you to the assistant soups, because this binder is thick, but this is a good summary of the major changes. So thank you to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Benavides.
Next item under discussion is discussion of the 6 weeks daily attendance.
Sorry. Good afternoon, board members, Dr. Science. I'm here this afternoon to go ahead and present to you the third 6 weeks attendance results, student attendance results. Okay, this is only for the third 6 weeks. We do have our comprehensive high schools. For the third 6 weeks average, they were at 83.69%. Then we have CCC, West, Hope Academy, with a 67.74%. Early College High School, STEM, HSP, with a 90.58%. And then we have middle schools with a 90.58%. Elementary schools with a 91.24%. For a district average for the third 6 weeks of 89.44%. As you know, we have been struggling with attendance because of everything that's going on. And so this is reflective of these numbers. But I do want to go ahead and let you know that the campuses are doing all kinds of activities to make sure that students are providing incentives for students so that we can get the students to come in. But we are finding ourselves with the situation of so many of our students being out because they have COVID or other illnesses, or family members that have illnesses. So it has been a very, very difficult situation, but I want you to know that campuses are struggling and campuses are trying their best to keep up with the attendance for each of their students. At a district level, I want to mention that we did provide incentives from the district level. Thank you, Dr. Science, for providing these incentives. The campuses were very, very thankful for this. So an ESSER attendance incentive was provided, and I gave you that information. We did give a total of $25 per student, depending on the amount of enrolled students at each campus. So if you look on there, we look at the enrollment, and we'll just look at the first example. The Academy of Health Science had a total of 418 students. 25 was the allotment per student, and this is, on the last column, is the amount of dollars that that campus received. Okay? And so it's the same for the rest. So this is for the total, a total of our total enrollment right now, according to this chart, 23,970 for the students that were enrolled. At $25, we were able to give each campus a different amount based on their enrollment. we were able to give them a total amount of $608,252. And so these monies were given to the campuses so that they could go ahead and have different incentives, attendance incentives for students, provide different things for them to encourage students to come in. So in speaking to principals, one of the things that was mentioned, I just went ahead and provided a couple of ideas. I did contact several principals, and they told me some of the things that they were doing. They were working on field trips, they're having popcorn parties, they're renting moon jumps, just different things that they're doing for the students. And this money's really helped for all of these activities that they wanted to have for the students. Of course, they were able to do many of these things, and this is prior to that new COVID that came in. But we are in the process of providing the campuses with more monies to continue with these type of incentives at this time. So then I went ahead and I provided you with a couple of pictures of, we know we had Corina Peña Elementary, who took their children to fourth graders to the Children's Museum in Brownsville. They had a lot of fun. They had raffles, they bought incentives. Then we have Memorial Middle School. This is just a sample. I had many, many samples, so we went ahead and just chose one elementary, one middle school, and one high school to go ahead and show you a little bit of some of the incentives that the administration went ahead and gave the students. And then we have Juarez Lincoln High School, who also gave a lot of rewards and incentive to the students for having good attendance for the third 6 weeks. And so that's the end of my presentation. Does anybody have any questions as far as some of the incentives that we're providing to the campuses? But I do want you to know that the entire school district, teachers, principals, everybody's trying their best to make sure that students are in school every day. But there's situations that we cannot foresee what's going to happen. And so at this time, we're just doing with what we have. And so it's been difficult as far as the enrollment, because we do have students also who have not enrolled because parents are afraid to send them to school because of everything that's going on. Then we have students that are enrolled but are not coming in every day. All kinds of cases that we hear of every single day. And of course, our campus principals are the ones that hear of all the situations that are going on. So I just want to let you know that all the efforts are being made, that it's not that our average is low because we're not putting in the effort. It's just we're finding ourselves in this situation. And I just wanted to mention to you that we did make phone calls across the neighboring school districts. And we did find out that we're not the only school district that's struggling with student attendance. All our neighboring school districts are in the same boat that we are at this time. As a matter of fact, the entire country is having problems with student attendance at this time. And so just wanted to let you know that all the efforts are being made, and the efforts will continue to be made to make sure that students are in school and that they're learning. And we need to do what we need to do. But at this time, this is where we are, and there's not much we can do. So I just wanted to mention that.
Thank you, Dr. Villarreal.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Villarreal. We recognize these are trying times, so thank you to everyone for your efforts. We appreciate it. Special thank you to the principals and all their efforts.
I would also like to thank at this time our custodial department, because they play an important role in keeping our classrooms clean and disinfected to help with attendance. Our custodial department worked this weekend to conduct deep cleaning and disinfecting in all of our classrooms. So I would like to acknowledge them and their work to help us maintain our attendance also. So thank you to all our custodial department staff.
I just want to make a comment, Dr. Villarreal. I know that I spoke to a teacher today, and I guess this message is more for the parents. If you can help us out with attendance, we'd greatly appreciate that. I know that teachers are doing their part, everybody's doing their part to bring students in, but it's a team effort, and we need the parents also to help out as well. And because she gave me an example that they're not, some students aren't coming in, but the teachers are still putting the work to put it on a Google Drive, and work is still not being completed. I mean, if students are at home, we ask parents to please help us out and to make sure, because there's a big gap that needs to be breached, and we got to do it together, and this is more for a message for the parents. Thank you.
And yes, it is a team effort, and everyone's doing their part. I know that the nurses have been a very, very essential part in all this, and they have been doing so much with having to test students, find out if they're COVID positive or they're negative, and then coordinating with the administration, making sure that if a student is COVID positive, what kind of instruction are we going to go ahead and provide for these particular students. And we do have right now, we're busting at the seams on our remote conferencing. We are having so many students in there, but of course this is just a temporary, when they're placed in remote conferencing, they are given a device and they get to log in from home so that we can go ahead and continue to count them present. But we're finding ourselves in situations like, many of our parents that are calling are saying, yes, it's great that you want to put them in remote instruction, but the students are so sick with 105 fever, they can't get up to log in. And so we have to count them absent.
Dr. Villarreal, what about the virtual students? Are they having some type of incentive for their attendance?
We're monitoring the virtual attendance for the virtual academy, of course, and there's a qualifying. They have to qualify in order to be in virtual academy. And yes, we are looking at that, and the remote conferencing. We are making sure, but the district is also in a big bind because we do have many of our, not just students, but many of our staff members who are out sick as well. So there's a lot of staff shortages in the campuses.
I guess I'm saying is, like, these students are being given an incentive, right, for attendance. So my question is, the virtual learning students, are they receiving some type of incentive support for their attendance?
Yes, they are.
Like what activities?
Virtual students that are in the virtual academy, they are counted present if they log in every day. So then they would be counted for their particular campus as far as this is a student that has perfect attendance, whether they were on virtual instruction, whether they were in person. So they would be counted together with the rest of the students. But yes, we are trying to keep up with giving them also some type of incentive for logging in as much as they can.
So what you're saying, Dr. Villarreal, and just so I'm clear with Ms. Ochoa too, if they belong to a school, like if the child belongs to, let's say, Camarena Elementary, and they're on virtual learning, but have perfect attendance, part of the money, the funding that Camarena received, they're included in that?
Correct.
So then, like, piggybacking on you, Dr. Cantu, like, I would like, if I had a child and it was at Camarena, what is being done for my child that's attending virtual? I guess
that can't attend.
Question that perhaps some of our parents that are viewing right now could ask or are wondering.
Mm-hmm. And maybe if there is no specific incentive activity for those students, that's probably something that we need to plan. If there isn't anything specific for the virtual kids,
correct?
Because
I'm looking at the
from
numbers
the campus
and the amounts of the campuses, and so,
And it would be the same thing for the remote instruction students who
Yes.
might be there only temporarily, but we also have to recognize if they're making the effort to log in every day.
Right.
Correct.
And so, yes, it's something that we need to consider and also consider for those particular students because I know that our campuses are, they're struggling and they're trying to get all those students into remote conferencing. And I know that my area is, of course, attendance. So I look out for attendance. And so whenever students are in remote instruction, we need to monitor that those students are actually logging in. If they don't log in, even if we say they're in remote conferencing, we don't get the funding for those particular students, and the students don't get to learn, and they're counted absent for that particular day.
I guess because we're using ESSER money and because of the accountability that comes behind it.
Correct.
And the auditing, that maybe perhaps that money that's given to those campuses for those teachers that represent those campuses can have some type of incentive delivered or picked up at the campus.
That's a good idea.
Something showing so that if we ever, and we are going to be audited in the future, we have something to show and prove for all students.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea. That we could go ahead and provide them with some type of, I don't know, a prize or something.
Which we've done before, because when we were all remote learning last year, I know teachers were going home and delivering.
And some of them did it out of their own pocket.
Yes.
And so when I'm looking at the funds that are being distributed to each campuses, I know administrators could,
Yes,
give a little
definitely.
bit.
And Ms.
That would be
Ochoa,
nice.
I didn't want to interrupt Dr. Villarreal's presentation, but I do want to state that I know for a fact that there's some principals that when they did have their field trips, for example, they did invite our virtual students to participate in those field trips. So I can't say that it was 100% of our principals that did that, but I do know that there was some of our principals that invited our virtual students. But we will be doing a little bit more of that inclusiveness when it comes to our virtual students and provide more of those opportunities for them. So thank you for the recommendation.
Thank you. Thank you for everything. I know all of you are working diligently, really hard, but thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for everything. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dr. Villarreal.
Next discussion item is discussion on the elementary and secondary school emergency relief ESSER fund initiatives.
Good evening, Madam President, Dr. Science, and members of the board and the community. My name is Jared Flores. I'm the Federal and State Program Director, and tonight I'm going to give you an update on the fund activities from the elementary and secondary school emergency relief, which is known as the ESSER. Just for the record, ESSER grant is funded, is authorized in 3 pieces of legislation. And this is where they are. And we have under the ESSER 1, the grant, and the intent of this grant is to provide resources to pay for unreimbursed costs due to the coronavirus pandemic. The next one is the ESSER 2, which is the coronavirus response relief supplemental appropriations. And the intent of this one is for the grant to prevent, prepare for, or respond to the coronavirus pandemic. The American Rescue ESSER 3, the intent of this grant is to safely reopen and sustain the safe operations of schools and address the impact of learning loss caused by the coronavirus pandemic, and at least 20% of the allocation must be allocated for learning recovery. All expenditures are reviewed by TA and ensure that the program intent, compliance, and adhere to the Education Department General Administrative Regulation known as EDGAR. So this is the ones that I was talking about, the three pieces of legislation. On this slide here, we're going to be talking about the mitigation strategies as of January 2022. And all of these have been funded by the ESSER funds. On the first row, you see continue to employ existing staff of the district in order to maintain a low student-to-staff ratio. Allocated was $40.9 million, and this activity is in process. The next row is maintain safe air quality levels for all members of the learning community, upgrade and or repair all HVAC equipment. $42.9 million were allocated, and this activity is in process.
Sir, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. I just have a question right there.
Yes, ma'am.
When you say activity is in process, what exactly do you mean? And I guess we can go, first of all, like for example, with our air purifiers.
Yes, ma'am.
Where exactly are we with that?
Yes, ma'am. As a matter of fact, I believe the energy director will bring in that item in the next board meeting for your the board approval. And that's going to be around $2.5 million for the classrooms air purification units.
But we currently don't have them? in place yet?
Only on the buses at this point, and like Mr. Munoz mentioned, on those classrooms on the special education.
I thought they had told us that each classroom had one. Am I correct?
I agree.
That's why I'm
That's
asking.
what I understood. So now you're saying that we don't?
No.
As far as right at this moment, no, they don't have it. They went for bidding, Mr. Salinas. They went for bidding, and there was an overwhelming response of bidders. I believe they had 55 bidders. So they had to gather again and redefine those. That the requirement that district is looking at those units, and I believe now that they have narrowed down to the recommendations to be approved by the board.
But I actually do remember that they said that each classroom had it when I sat in that chair.
I think it was I think maybe it was the plan when we presented the plan that was part of the expenditures.
Right.
That we were going to provide air purifiers for each classroom, which currently is in the bid process.
I thought we had already approved that though, because in my opinion, I would want to move on that sooner before the HVAC projects, because that's what's clean the air. That's what literally cleans the air inside the classrooms. And I thought we had already.
I agree with Mr. Cantu. Yes. I know that they presented on the transportation, and those were recently. But I believe, and as I remember, and I'll go back to my notes, that each classroom had a purifier. I mean, that's what was told.
And that is because it's part of the plan, Mr. Salinas. And what might have been approved, and we'll check, is that permission to go out for bids, which we have gone out for bids. And as Mr. Flores explained, we have received, I think, 55 different proposals from vendors, which we are currently analyzing so that we can bring to you at the February 9th board meeting.
Do we have any in our large open areas, like gyms, cafeterias?
Not to my knowledge, Ms.
Currently at the campuses, there are some air purifiers, such as in the hallways, some in the cafeterias and in the larger spaces, but not in the regular classrooms.
Well, I understand that it's 55 bids. It could be 1,000 bids. The fact of the matter is that should have been taken action on quick.
Right away.
Because I'm here thinking, and I think that we're here thinking that with the purifiers in each classroom, our kids are safer. Could have been 1 million bids. The thing is that, to my understanding, and it's not just me, there's several of us here questioning, and I thought that we already had it there.
Well, and the other thing that's concerning is if we're just going to approve it on February the 9th, that means that we won't get them till probably the first week of March, and that means that they won't be installed. I mean, how long did it take us to install the air purifiers in the buses? And so, I mean,
I think
that's concerning.
Yes, it is concerning to us also. However, we have followed the procedures, the federal guidelines. We went out for bids, and then there was a complaint from one vendor. Our legal team analyzed it, and they recommended that we go out for the bid process again, and that's why it has taken us longer than what we anticipated. But it is just the federal guidelines for procurement for these funds that are very, very detailed, and I know our purchasing department is doing their very best to follow all of the guidelines. It does take time. It is a long process to purchase items under these funds.
It would have been good if we had been told that was a problem, so that way we can inform our community, because we're saying we have wrong information.
Yes,
correct.
Yeah.
That was not explained to us, that legal was looking into it. My understanding was that they were already in the classroom.
And my concern is we're already moving on this agenda to vote on the HVAC and a $42 million project, when this was a $2 million project that we could have already had in place in our classrooms, and we thought we had it in place in our classrooms. I thought.
And by the same token, Mr. Cantu, on the HVAC, it's the same process. They have to go for biddings and make sure that we are adhering to the guidelines that the federal government is requiring. So when we allocate those funds to the department, my office makes sure that the forms are properly completed. In other words, the allowable use of funds and the additional fund request by that department based on the approved mitigation strategies.
No, I'm not questioning that, because if we're looking at maintaining safe air quality meets the standards of using ESSER funds, This is a $42 million project. The air filters were a $2 million project, and we're already ahead of the air purifiers with the HVAC. I mean, I would have thought you would have had more,
That it was just quicker.
That's what I say. I'm not
And I agree
saying
with
anything
Dr.
about how
Benavides.
we process
We
it.
should
I
have
understand that. I
given
just
that
said we should have prioritized when it comes to.
With the HVAC, I know operations had to do analysis to the study, first of all, the existing units and make sure what units are existing, what units have existing warranties and stuff like that before they end up making that final list of the units that need to be replaced or upgraded. So I know your point about the difference of 42 to 2.5 million dollars. However, given the circumstances that we're living, there's a lot of demand and the supply. It's limited, and when we stimulate for bids,
Is Mr. Loya in here?
I'm not sure, ma'am.
I'm sure he could explain.
Well, and we are in no way.
I'm not sure Mr. Loy is in the meeting.
It would be Mrs. Zapata's office.
We are in.
Yeah, but Mr. Loya has been taking care of all of this, and so you're correct. Certain things have been told to us, and
Yeah,
not.
because remember it went back. The whole idea here is that they told us that the purifiers were inside the classroom.
Correct.
If it was just me saying that, then it could have been me misunderstanding, but it's just not me. Am I correct?
Right.
Correct. I thought we already had them.
And especially like you just said, Mr. Flores, and I quote you, in the circumstances that we're in right now, I think it should be on our priority.
Yes, ma'am. I know for a fact Dr. Cantu, I've been in contact with operations, Mr. Loya and Mr. Ricky Villarreal, and I know they're working real hard to get those units in since the get-go. So when we started, and unfortunately that we had to go through that process, and just like Dr. Saenz mentioned, one of the bidders complained, and that slowed everything for that department.
Yes, at that time, we did bring the rejection item to the board for approval to reject those bids and for us to begin again. So we did bring that rejection item. I'll get the date of the board meeting that we did that.
And probably an emphasis on that board item would have been, this will delay this project a month, 2 months, 60 days.
Yeah.
So that way everyone knows what's going on and we're all saying the same thing. We are in no way advocating for guidelines not to be followed because we understand that it's federal monies and that there's guidelines to follow and all that. So that's not the issue. It's just the issue of us being on the same page and being told so that way we can communicate to the community and we can let the parents know when we're asked.
Dr. Benavides, I will talk to the operation to give you an exact date when once it's approved by the board, exactly when is the delivery date for those units in the
And
classroom.
if we need to have an emergency meeting to approve them prior to the February the 9th, we will have an emergency meeting. This is priority for our kids and our staff.
Yes, ma'am.
We will schedule a meeting as soon as we have the bids ready to be board approved.
Yes, ma'am. All right, on the third row there, learning loss strategies, tutorials, early start, before, after school, tutoring, Saturday camps, transportation supplies, materials, technology, and this includes desktop, laptops, iPads, smart boards, calculators, smart Apple TVs, Chromebooks, Chromeboxes, charging cards, document readers, camera, projectors, scanners, printers, headsets, hotspots, and firewall updates as part of the learning loss. For this is $22.8 million, and at this point is 12.8 that we have expended. On the next slide, the first row, outside benches, bus air purification units, indoor and air surface units, play sets, and covered canopies to provide additional areas for students. Allocated $6.7 million. So the up-to-date expenditure, $28,000 for the outside benches had been completed. $304,997 for bus air purifications had been completed. And some of the activities in process would be the play sets, the covered canopies, and the indoor air and surface units that we talked about a while ago. Under the personal protective equipment, we have face masks, hand sanitizers, gloves, wipes, disinfectant sprays, Dex shields, paper roll towels, and thermometers, all for the campuses and departments. That was earmarked with $2.9 million, and $680,000 has been expended. Under human resources, retention stipends, technology, $12.5 million have been allocated, and 12.5 have been expended. Lastly, the social emotional support, the positive behavior interventions and support systems, discipline management software to track students on targets, social emotional learning software and curriculum, and tutoring and training, for staff. $2.3 million have been allocated. At this point, 1.6 expended.
Mr. Flores, these allocations, are they for this year only?
Yes, for the year one only. Yes,
Year
ma'am.
one. Because I'm concerned on page 79 or slide number 3 with the learning loss strategies and the tutorials. I'm concerned because it's end of January and we've only expended 12 million, and I know that we need to be addressing the learning loss. And so again, if materials aren't ordered, they won't get here till March, and then the kids will only have them 2 months or 2.5 months, and the kids won't get full benefit. And I know at the end when the scores come, they're going to expect for us to have addressed the learning loss of all children.
Yes, ma'am.
And because that's what this money's for. So I think this needs immediate attention, because another priority for all of us as board members is the student achievement and how we move our kids past this. And we recognize all the challenges and everything that's going on, we know. But still, the materials that were promised for the kids have to get in the hands of the kids.
Yes, ma'am. We'll notify those departments and to make sure they move as fast as possible to get those, especially when it comes to materials, supplies and materials.
Especially because we as a board have already stated that that's our priority. When we got this money, and we were so blessed to get this money, we said most of it would be allotted to the learning loss. So that is a little surprising too, that it's only at 12.
Yeah, we even went above the 20%.
Yes, we went to 40, I think.
Yeah.
Eventually, once we complete the action plan, future window, we should be around $6 million.
We can't understand. I can't.
I'm sorry, that eventually, Dr. Ramirez, by the conclusion of the 3-year window, where we should be at $60 million used for learning loss. Now, as you see on the page right now, that slide, it's ESSER 3. We do have other entitlements. We have Title I and State Comp that have also been used in the other market learning loss mitigation strategies.
As well as Title III, bilingual and so forth. Those programs are renewed every year, and this funds that we just discussed, they're above and beyond. And we have 3 years, especially when it comes to the learning loss, that we need to make sure that we use those funds to address those gaps.
But like our seniors don't have 3 years.
No.
Our seniors are going to be out of school in 3 months or
Correct.
4 months. And so that's why it's important that each grade level, that they get whatever it was that they were supposed to get.
Not only that, I'm thinking that we're going to have to do our reopening plan, because in it states that we would have our air purifiers in place, our HVAC would be in place, and with technology too. So we have to revisit what we have in place and update it.
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Ochoa.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Munoz, I'm sorry, what number did you give us? 16 million or 16?
This 3 years, right, that was like, what I said, that was year one. Well, year mark for year one, we would multiply that by 2 additional years.
Can you get closer to your mic?
But it was not the same amount
So
for
the
each
total
year,
amount
though.
was, what
We
amount
not
did you give
budget
us?
the same amount for each year.
We had allocated close to $60 million for mitigation strategies and technology for children.
60.
60.
Yes.
For the 3 years.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That concludes the discussion items. Any item to be pulled out of consent?
I just, Dr. B, I just had a question on items, business and finance, item 1, 2, and 3. It's just the same question on the progress on where we're at with the roof renovations of these 3 schools. That's the only question I had.
So can we vote and then just come back and discuss, or?
Pull it out.
For which?
Under C?
Under C, item 1, 2, and 3, pull out 2 for discussion.
Do you want to pull them out, all 3?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's pull them out, all number 3 under business and finance. And then, do I have a motion for the consent agenda?
Also move.
Second.
Motion has been made and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Now we will take item number 1 under business and finance, approval of application and certificate for payment of contractor fees. Fee number 5 for La Jolla ISD Rosendo Benavides Elementary Roof Renovation Project.
We need to go back to under contracts.
Yeah, I have an item that's on
Number
the.
5. Number 5? Yes, I'm sorry, under contracts. I'm moving too fast. Approval, and this is a really important one, so
Yes.
thank you, Jerry. Approval of resolution for the La Jolla ISD School Board of Trustees to extend sick leave during COVID-19 of an additional 5 days of paid leave pursuant to DEC local.
So move.
I'll second. Okay, I'll let them.
Motion has been made and second. I know it was,
Can
we have a,
Can I have a discussion?
yes.
I was hoping that we could, I know it said on the resolution that it would start as of January 30th. I'm sorry, hold on.
No, it's January 3rd.
As of January 3rd, but I would like to take note to Ms. Brenda Salinas in that perhaps if we had some employees that were sick and lost some of those days, that it could be retroact. Is there any way legal that it could be retroact the first semester?
We are making it retroactive.
It says here.
It's beginning on January 3rd, 2022.
Yeah, it's retroactive because today is the 19th.
But for the first semester, if somebody was sick?
No, we had the days for first semester.
Well, I'm thinking for...
Didn't you all approve that before?
Yes, but we
Yes.
also have some new employees to the district. That's what I'm thinking right now. Those new employees to the district did not have the previous COVID days. We did not give it to them. So I'm thinking about those employees. Is that correct, Dr. Sines?
I think, Ms. Ayala, that as far as new employees, do you want to clarify?
Yes, Dr. Sines, the last time that the board approved a resolution was in August of 2020. Any employees hired after that date did not receive COVID days. So we are correct. Any new employees that were hired after 2020 or that were hired last school year did not receive the COVID days.
And so I know some employees were sick first semester, and so that's the reason why I want to discuss this with my colleagues. If they could have, maybe they're well right now, but they use their personal days.
Can we do that?
That's when I'm not sure we can do that or not, based on this resolution.
Legal would tell us?
Legal would be the one to.
Yeah, I think
this.
Resolution, and it's unclear how we want to change it at this point. So I would advise against doing that at this point.
I would say, Jerry, maybe we can approve this as is and then come back with guidance from you all
We can amend the resolution at a later date.
to amend for the ones that were hired after August 2020.
Gives us the opportunity to get the wording that you're looking for, Ms. Ochoa.
Okay, and then when I read it, I didn't read anything if there's the medical situation, so could it be that they have HRCs it case by case? Because there's criteria here. And
I think what was discussed that for employees like that we would look at it on a case-by-case basis and depending on medical information that we would get from them.
Okay, I just want
But is that on there, Dr. Sines?
It's not, it doesn't state that on here, no, but in the discussions, that's how we talked that we would address
But
those.
I'd like them to know because they weren't in the discussions.
This is for all employees, right?
Yes.
Yes.
I'd also like to know, I'd like to read something from the resolution because I'd like it to be clear, and I just removed my mask so that I could read it and be clear to all our staff out there. This resolution states that the board finds that the need to maintain ongoing morale in these trying times requires that the board, in some small way, recognize the courage, sacrifice, and hard work of its employees who and will be performing services for the district. And I thought it was important just to restate that part, because during these difficult times, I think it's important that you all know, all our employees, that we hear you, we understand you, and we're with you. And to my colleagues, I say, it states here, it's a small way to recognize, and it is a small way. And I ask our administration to look at other ways that we could also assist them. I mean, it's only January, and I think you all would agree with me, the morale out there, as it states here, is not at its where it should be. And anything we can do to help our principals, some of them are working on skeleton crews right now, and so anything that we can do, that they can count on our support. But I thought it was important to read that out loud, because that's a big statement here for all of you. So I just wanted to say that.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Cantu. Any other comments? If not, we'll take a vote on this item. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Now we can go to Business and Finance. Item number 1, approval and application of certificate for payment of contractor's fee number 5 for La Jolla ISD Rosendo Benavides Elementary Roof Renovation Project.
Just a question that I had, I don't know
I
who can.
guess it's 1, 2, and 3. It's just where are we at?
Where are we at with this
Where are we at?
project?
I guess that's for 1, 2, and 3.
I think Mr. Flores is here to respond to any questions on these items. Thank you, Mr. Flores. If you could just give us a brief summary of where we are at with each of these 3 projects, Mr. Flores.
Good afternoon, Madam President, Superintendent, fellow colleagues, and board members. We're about 90% complete with Benavides. Kika is going to be the first school to be turned in back to us. And Palmview High School Towers is already 100% complete. We're having a walkthrough tomorrow with the contractor and the engineer to see if we can already start putting chalkboards and hardware back at Benavides and get a final date of when we can already start moving furniture in there.
How about Flores?
Flores is going to be also the next one after Kika to get kind of coincide together with Benavides at the same time to move in also. We're looking maybe last week of January, first week of February to start moving everything back in. But all projects are about 90% complete.
All right.
Any other questions for Mr. Flores?
That's it.
What was the question, Mr. Cantu?
The question?
I mean,
I get
No, where we're at with these projects, and when do we estimate that we can reopen these schools?
I know that we were told in the committee, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Hernandez, but we were told one school was at 90, another school was at 70, and another school was at, I don't recall the third one.
It's complete.
Like,
Kika
there was only one that was,
already?
yeah.
Overall, we're pretty much in 90 in all of them, ma'am. We pretty much, tomorrow we're actually visiting myself and the contractors and walking all the buildings to make sure that, like I said, bulletin boards are up, chalkboards, hardware, closets, and everything. And I need a date of when we can start getting with the principals and when they want all kinds of furnitures and where they want desks and start getting the kids back in there. Of course, with your permission. So we can coordinate moving them back.
Is it safe to say by spring break?
Way before that.
There was one school that was not going to be able to move until after.
I think that was Flores Elementary.
Flores
is the one that's
and
under
so
the
that was
behind.
not at 90, that was not at 90%. It was like at 70 or something like that, and there was only one that was at 90. So
I think it was Flores Elementary that was going to need some more time.
More time. Well,
Yes.
Mr. Rick Vergara told me today to say that everything was at 90, but I confirmed with Benavides and with Kika, and I'll double check tomorrow with Flores, and I'll get back to you guys now.
I think with the asbestos and all that, it delayed Flores
Okay,
Elementary.
I'll confirm with him tomorrow.
Yeah.
But him and Mr. Joe Vidal both are out on COVID or symptoms, but I will have that information first thing in the morning.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any,
So then actually 4 was approved, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so with that being said, under letter C, I'll motion from items 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21. So move on those.
Second.
Any further questions?
Thank
No
you.
other questions, Mr. Flores?
Thank you.
There's a motion on the floor of our items 1, 2, and 3, and the rest up to 21, made by Mr. Salinas, second by Ms. Ochoa. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'm gonna abstain on item 6, 7, and 8. I think that this items, if we're already approving, the studies has taken. I mean, I would have thought this project would be a longer process than the air purifiers, and I want to make sure that we get the air purifiers before we start this project. If we move forward with this project, that's the only reason why I'm abstaining.
But will that hold it back?
No, but I'm abstaining.
Yeah, because it's not, the projects are not related, and so if we hold these back, it doesn't necessarily that it's going to move up the air purifiers. It's different projects.
I'm just abstaining from these 6, 7.
And you're qualifying your vote, so that's okay.
Thank you, Mr. Cantú.
So I'm going to repeat that. For items 1, 2, and 3, and then from number 5 to number 21,
Yes.
leaving out 6, 7, and 8 for right now.
He's abstaining, Mr. Cantu's abstaining on 6, 7, and 8.
Okay.
It might be 6, 7, and I don't think it's 8.
6, 7, 6 and 7.
6 and
I'm sorry.
7.
6, 7, but
Yes,
there
I'm
is
sorry.
another one, Mr. Cantú.
Okay.
It might also be 11.
Yes.
Yes.
It's number 11.
Yes.
6, 7, and 11.
6, 7, and 11.
Okay, 6, 7,
So all those in favor, we said everyone's in favor, and Mr. Cantu's abstaining for those 6, 7, and 11.
Yes, for
Is that
6, 7,
correct?
and 11.
Yes, Dr. B. Thank you.
Okay. All those opposed? Motion carries.
I would like either Dr. Sines or someone to just give us the importance, and I know we just voted on it, but we haven't gone on, the importance of us to attend the Lone Star governance training. Why it's, I mean, I know it's very important, but, you know, the need
Yes.
for us to go through.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Ochoa. The Lone Star Governance Training, as it's described on page 303, helps school boards improve their processes or their decision-making at campuses so that, at districts, so that all behaviors improve student outcomes. Some of the processes and systems that are part of the training include setting vision and goals, identifying values, setting measures and systems for progress and accountability of student performance, how to monitor progress of student outcomes. So it really is a training where board members work together to improve student outcomes.
And I think it's important because sometimes the community hears that we keep on approving for us to attend our required hours, but at the same token, sometimes it's not explained the purpose behind it or the need behind it, and this is a very important
Thank you,
training.
yes. Thank you, Ms. Ochoa.
And it is a very good training, and it keeps you focused on student achievement. So it will help us just be better board members. Okay, we'll move on then to under curriculum and instruction, or instruction and student services, I'm sorry. Number 5, approval of Mentoring Minds Think Up platform for students and teachers. Do we have a motion?
So moved. Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Number 16, approval of the 2022-2027 La Jolla ISD District of Innovation Plan.
So moved. Second.
A motion has been made by Ms. Ochoa, second by Dr. Cantu. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those in favor say aye.
The District of Innovation calendar.
Approve. Yes. All those
Just so we
opposed?
can start a review.
Motion carries. And then this number 17, approval of 2021-2022 district calendar adjustments.
So move.
Second.
Motion has been made by Mr. Cantu, second by Ms. Ochoa. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Under Human Resources, approval, number 1, approval of Texas Association of School Board Policy Update 118.
Dr. B, I'd like to so move to approve item 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 and human resources.
I'll second.
Perfect. Mr. Cantu has made a motion for items 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, second by Mr. Salinas. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. We will go into executive session at 7:30 p.m. Under Government Code 551074, 551071, and 551072. Back from executive session at 9:13.
Madam President, under letter H, I'd like to make a motion. Items 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 is discussed in executive session.
Second.
Motion has been made and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Now, for the record, I abstained to the two positions in personnel, which is the safety compliance specialist and the network and communication technician. Thank you.
Thank you. Everyone else said, oh, we're okay?
Yes.
Okay, so motion passes. Meeting is adjourned at 9:14.